Good evening, everybody, and welcome once again for round number 19 of the ILR PCF1 2019 Championship. Today, we arrive at the Lone Star State, the state of Texas, and the circuit of the Americas. 20 turns, 5.5 kilometer composes a lap that is going to be repeated 28 times this afternoon from our drivers. Of course, we have plenty of technical sections separated by two DRS zones. One leading corner 22, the first one, the hill climb onto the first corner. The airpin is certainly going to be a popular overtaking spot. And then the other DRS zone connecting turns 11 to 12, separated by two very different challenges for our drivers, from the maggots back at side speed section like of sector 1 to the more technical sector number 3. Of course, the drivers are going to have to find a good balance in their driving and their pace to master the circuit. In terms of the standings, we have Shadow already crowned champion over Cruisix, 114 points separated to Ascendinator, follows in P3 as the best McLaren, 18 points behind second place. Lehman in P4 with 141 points, followed by Plexit in the best of the Renaults with 105. Infamous 4 points short of the 100 point mark in 6th, followed by Iceman, the best Alfa Romeo in P7, J. Cole in P8, and then we have Curly in P9 and Bird, the best of the Mercedes seats, closing the top 10. Moving to the constructor standings, Renault leads still with 373 points. If they score one single point this afternoon, they are crowned the new champions. McLaren follows in P2 with 241 points. Then we have the Milton Keynes based Red Bull team with 227 in third, followed by Groove based Williams in fourth, followed by Alfa Romeo, who sits in the last of the top 5 spots. After that, we have Silverstone based Racing Point with the Mercedes team not too far behind. The home team, the Haas F1 team, sits in 8th with 71 points, and then still the deadlock between both Italian teams, Toro Rosso and the Scuderia Ferrari, sit both with 24 points. So with that, we can get ourselves started with our qualifying for the USA Grand Prix. But before that, let me introduce to you all our fellow commentator booth colleague. Jess, how are you doing?
I'm doing great today, thanks Raceberg, and I like this track. You know, it has a resemblance of Suzuka, in particularly the S section, as well as Silverstone as well, with Maggots and Beckett's, and it should be very, very interesting. It's very difficult, to say the least, because I know a lot of drivers could get penalties around here, but that should provide a challenge for these drivers. And look at this, Raceberg, a full lobby today.
Exactly, do have a full lobby, and the first driver to start the qualifying lap is Marky Marcus, replacing Lehman in the Williams. So big boots to fill is as the Dane today. Let's see what he does. So far he is on the hard, surely not going to be those that set of tires that is going to start the race with. But nonetheless, let's see what he does so far. It does have plenty of cars right behind him. Black Panther in the Alfa Romeo for the time being, still in the first sector, just came out of it, where we saw a spectacular suspension failure for Vettel in the real-life Grand Prix. Let's see if any of our drivers have similar fates. Of course, we had a fair share of DNFs in Suzuka, very wet race. Then we moved on to Mexico, where affairs were a bit more clean. What do you think, Jess? Do you think we're going to see some maybe too close action for our drivers?
Well, in particular, we're going to see some overtaking, in particular in the two DRS zones. 11 and 12 is where I've seen a few share of incidents in the past when I was doing league racing. Luckily, it didn't happen to me, but it happened to a few other people as well. So we could see people going a bit. We've seen in real life and also in league racing, they do it really, really well, and I've seen some brilliant moves there. So it could be a little bit of a luck of the draw, really, as Marky Mark's teammate Jake has just gone fastest. I did see a little bit of teammate working together there, as Mark did drop a little bit. I think he was going to give, I think he gave it Jake the toe, or either one gave him the toe, I don't know, but I'm guessing they're going to be working together a lot more today, which is great to see.
Exactly. In the meantime, J. Cole got provisory pole, as we have Archie completing his lap as well. He's followed by one of the Ferraris, not sure if it is Spades or Cisco. Archie puts himself on provisory pole. Ace of Spades crawls into the pits. I believe that's Julian following him. No, that's actually General Pepe. He was also followed, or both of them were followed by one of the Red Bulls. I believe it was Crucix, as we have Entity getting himself in P5 for the time being. A very similar lap in terms of the time to his own teammate. So P4 and P5 occupied by both drivers of the home team for today, and surely they are going to be trying to set or to give a good showcase for their own fans who are eager to see a good sum of points come out of this Grand Prix for the Haas F1 team. In the meantime, we have Julian coming back after a long absence from the league. He's coming back as a reserve, replacing iCurly in the Racing Point. Number 31 is going to come over the curb, crossing over the line, and it's P8 for the time being with a lap time of 1:33.1. In the meantime, Chess, anything that drew your attention?
Not at the moment, but I'm seeing a lot of people qualify on the softs at the moment, so I suggest it's probably most likely going to be starting on the softs. I don't know the strategy much around this track. I haven't practiced much on this track to know about the strategy, but I know softs could last for a bit on this track, or it might be a bit of rain in the midst. We don't know. We don't know the weather. The drivers do, unless they tell us, which I don't think they're going to. But there's quite a few people on the hard, so I don't think it's going to rain just yet. And we got quite a few invalidated laps, as I was saying earlier, Raceberg. It is really hard to get a validated lap just right off the bat, and if you don't get it until the end, then you're going to find yourself shot in the foot, because you'll end up probably doing one-shot qualifying, and usually one-shot qualifying is not people's best lap. So it's best to get a good lap in straight away, so you know you have less pressure when it comes towards the end of qualifying. So most certainly the top 7, I think, should be pretty comfortable with that. I think the other people have got some time yet to find. Julian, I'm expecting to see some to find some time, because he's really good at qualifying usually. So and he's one of the fast drivers on PC. So I could expect him to go fast. There's quite a lot of other people as well. And Prix, I think I expect to go fast as well. He was challenging for the win last time about, but unfortunately he got caught up in a little bit of a incident. But a challenge for the win today, because he deserves it.
Yeah, I would certainly be very surprised if Crucix doesn't get at least a top 5 spot today, as we're following which RZ goes on the very long back straight connecting turns 11 to the turns number 12 and the subsequently end of the second sector. Let's see how it does for how it goes for the reserve driver of the Mercedes. 1.1.9 so far for the Mercedes driver. Let's see how he does. He gets himself through this very tricky section. The car looks smooth, looks planted as he gets up through the gears to this basically reverse turn 8 from Turkey. Lots of little bits and pieces does this track borrow from others, as that could have been an invalidation, and yeah, it is an invalidation, and Cisco is already out of the session, Jess.
So I guess Cisco must be struggling even more just to get a lap in, or he might have hit the wall. It was hard to tell how he actually retired, or maybe he just given up, I'm not sure. But what a shame from Cisco. That means unless other people don't set a lap time, he'll be starting at the back of the grid. But at least he can avoid the carnage going into turn 1, hopefully, and just try and keep it cool for the first couple of laps, and then try and start to push until the first lot of pit stops, because that could really quite work for Cisco, as we've got, I think, a lot of people on their out laps at the moment. So yeah, they're just going to get their second laps in and making sure that they get a little bit of a feel. Aidenator, who did really well last week, he's on pole position so far, 131.2. I wonder if we'll see anyone go into the 130s. It is doable. Aidenator is quite close to the 130s at the moment, and he's corner cutting at the moment. I'm guessing he wants to go into the pits pretty quickly. I do believe he's on his fly at the moment. But yeah, times are pretty close between Archie and Aidenator at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. In the meantime, we have Channel Pepe who's coming through the line Kruzix did a lap that was invalidated. We had Maranello Baby already do 2 laps on that set of softs, invalidated both of them. Now he's gotten the yellow mark mediums for his last couple attempts. In the meantime, we have General Pepe way to Racing Point and climbs his way up to P7. Good lap from him, and look at how close it was from Entity. 5 thousandths of a second separating him from splitting the Haas. So at the moment, very good showing from the Indian driver. In the meantime, we have, as you mentioned, a couple drivers on their outlaps who have in the meantime started their flyers, as we have Archie climbing his way through the beginning of sector number 2. We have Shadow, who I believe is further along in the lap. Yes, he is about to get to corner number 12. Kaibashimi still down that straight that connects 11 and 12. NDT much closer to the end of his lap. We also have Kruzix at the end of his flying lap because he invalidated the previous one. So let's see how it goes for the Red Bull and the Haas drivers. Entity avoided going too wide on the exit of turn number 19. On turn number 20, he's going to cross over the line. That's not an improvement for him, very sadly. Kruzix gets himself back into the pits, so mission failed in terms of the banker laps. In the meantime, we have Shadow about to complete the lap, and he just did with a 131.3. We have Archie. Ooh, Archie had a big mistake somewhere. He's going off the circuit. Yeah, it was on that very intricate 13, 14, 15 corner section there, and he lost it. So lap aborted for him, as there's one of the Ferraris zooming by. That's Ace of Spades, who already completed a lap time 9th for him so far. So unfortunately, some of our drivers not getting the necessary precision to get their laps together, as we still have 3 drivers. We haven't set a lap time, Jess.
Yeah, that's the likes of JSR, Cruises and Maranello Baby, and they really need to get a move on, because otherwise they're not going to have much time in the session. And I think you can see the pressure from these drivers. JSR, you can tell he is pushing to the limit on his car to make sure he gets a lap in, because otherwise he'll have one more chance later on in the session. And I think Fruits is just coming out now, and so is Maranello Baby. So I think for those two, I think they only got 2 more chances. But hopefully JSR could just find a little bit of rhythm in now, and hopefully he doesn't cut any corners, and he should be all right. But good strong showing for the Haas drivers at the moment for their home Grand Prix. P5 and P6, which should be good points wise for the league so far. So hopefully they could stay there. You never know. And I don't think we have any American drivers in this lobby, do we?
No, I do not. Yeah, we don't have any home drivers today, but we do have
just home team. Just home team.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, in the meantime, Rocky, the Hungarian, got himself in P11 for the time being. J. Cole is also close to finishing a lap of his own, as I believe that was Cryptic dethroning Rocky there with a 133.001. So almost 133 flats. JSR completes his lap on the mediums, gets himself into P13. We have J. Cole about to complete his lap. We also have Maranello Baby on a set of mediums looking for his first timed lap. Let's see how that one goes. J. Cole navigating the very long turns 16, 17 and 18 officially. That makes 3 corners as opposed to the Turkish corner it resembles. J. Cole is about to finish his lap, open DRS, crossed over the line, 2/10 improvements, a 131.4 for the McLaren driver. In the meantime, we do have Gilbavand coming through, just started his lap. Julian just started a lap of his own, still in sector 1. Maranello Baby about to cross the line. What will the number 49 do on his first time lap? Is it going to be valid? And it is! P10 for the Alfa Romeo driver so far. Kruzix is also on a similar mission, currently just at the start of sector number 2, Jess.
Yep, just about to go into the DRS zone, and he's going to get a little bit of a tow from the McLaren driver as well. I don't think J. Cole would want to give a tow to Kruzix, who are so close in the championship, but we'll see anyway, as he's trying. J. Cole seems to be having a good lap as he's starting to pull away, so I think Kruzix actually is starting to gain on him. So I think Kruzix's lap will be pretty good as we go to past turn 12 and into approaching turn number 13. He's just gaining time on J. Cole at the moment. So this could be very impressive for him. He has to get a lap in now because otherwise he's going to be on the back foot. Archie, though, is 99 thousandths behind Aidenator, so the times between the top four are incredibly close. So I could expect a fight between the two McLarens, Shadow, and maybe Archie for the top. Maybe Julian as well, perhaps, because Julian is not that far behind in P5. Everyone is just going into the pits now. And I did tell you it was going to be a good lap race, Bug, from Cruises. And it is. It is a 131.0 for Cruises. It's not that far from the 130s yet, but that looks really fast due to the fact he was gaining from the McLaren driver. But he is back, Racebug, and he is on a mission.
Yeah, exactly. Lehman this time isn't around to stop him. I'm pretty sure he would love the Polish driver to be around so he could get a bit of payback perhaps for what happened in Mexico. But this time around he's showing that he practiced and that he wants it, sitting happy on pole for the time being, just under 2/10 away from P2 as a bunch of drivers still in the pits, just under 3 minutes left in qualifying, and Inator has already left the session. He actually didn't retire, he outright left the session, so maybe he got a game crash or something. It's going to be crucial for him to recover quickly from that, or the game won't let him do the transition from qualifying to the race. Black Panther at the moment just started his flying lap, getting through the to the very twisty first sector. Let's see as he gets himself started with sector number 2. A bit of a corner cut, I believe, there at the top of the hill. Not sure if he's going to get away with that one. As we look to the other Ferrari-powered car, the number 32 of Ace of Spades, who's in the third sector. Let's see what he does at the moment. Cryptic is also on a lap of his own.
He improves by 2/10, Ace of Spades, in sector 2.
Okay, so that's good for him. He's on his way to 132.5. Can he split the Alfa Romeos? That's what we're going to find out in a second. He tries to explore as much as he can from the track limits there. Coming through the last corner. Ooh, a bit wide. Is it going to count? It does still. Just a 1/10 improvement though, so he lost a bit of time. Remains in 14th place. Cryptic coming through with almost a 4/10 improvement as he heads down the back stretch into turn number 12. Let's see what the number 72 is going to do at the moment. I believe it is Shadow right behind him, still on an outlap. Or maybe it is Marky Mark. Nonetheless, same situation for the Williams drivers at the moment. So the Dane just comes out of, not the Dane, the Norwegian. I apologize, I've been calling him a Dane for a while now. No, he's not from Denmark, he's from Norway, and he just achieved his first podium in ILR last time out at the Autódromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Can he get a strong display once again? Ooh, a bit edgy there, that Williams. He gets a bit wide, he's going to be nullified. It was not, and P3 for him. 131.3, and that's going to be a very tight contest for those last few spots of the first two rows, Jess.
Yeah, I was expecting a few people to only challenge for pole, but look at this at the moment. 7 people in with a shot on taking pole position. That is absolutely insane, and I was expecting Crucis and Aidenator to be there, but Cryptic, as you were saying, a very good result last time out. And no, Crucis is happy with his lap, so he is retired, but is it going to be a gamble because there's other people on a lap? Jake is going to try and get there a little bit too quickly to try and get through, but I don't know if he's going to make it in time. I thought I saw a corner cut from Shadow, but obviously not. Yep. Julian is not going to improve either. I'm just seeing if there's anyone. Maranello Baby's just going through the S's, so he's just started on a lap. Jake's going, no, Jake slowed down, so I guess he did invalidate his lap. So he starts P5 at best, but Cryptic is on the lap though. He is gaining, and I'm sure the other people would want to nip Cryptic out his heels. I think he's the only person that can stop Crucis at the moment because obviously Aidenator is in P2 at the moment, and I don't think both, because one of the Haas cars, he can't improve, he remains 10th, but Entity, he remains in 9th place, so he goes up to 9th to beat his teammates. And I think Cryptic's ahead of Archie, so let's follow Cryptic first, and then let's follow Archie. So Cryptic is going to go through the last couple of corners into 19 and into turn 20. I don't think he's improving. He's on the ERS Mode 0, but we'll see anyway. And no, he's not. So let's follow Archie. I'm seeing if Archie's improving. 131.5. No, he's not improved, but he stays P4. So Prix is on pole position. I'm just seeing just JSR on a fast lap. I'm just gonna
Yep.
see oh, that was an improvement. That was invalidated. That was invalidated from JSR.
We do have Rocky now. Last chance for the Hungarian and the number 95 to complete a lap. Let's see what he does. He's going to cross over the line. And it is P12 for the Hungarian. Not exactly the sort of result he was probably hoping for. Nonetheless, he does get himself a free set of tires. He's in the first row out of the drivers that have a fresh set of tires for the start of the race. So that might actually turn out to be an advantage in the 28 laps to come. But this is a chest. Kruzix gets himself on pole. Nobody could beat him. Almost 2 tenths separating P1 to P2. Cryptic having a good show on P3. So very nicely done from him. Shadow, unfortunately, since he got crowned the champion, he hasn't been on the podium and he hasn't qualified in the first 2 rows as well. So Shadow needs to improve himself if he wants to still show that he has what it takes to be a champion in to set the mark for the upcoming seasons as well.
Yeah, I'm guessing he's realised that, oh, I'm champion. You don't need to pick up the pressure a little bit, but there may be a few seasons to come where people will be watching these drives and think, hey, what can I do to improve? And how can I do better than the champion? And it looks like Shadow will need to improve a bit more if he wants to get back to his true form, but you never know. So all the top 10 will be starting on the soft compounded tyres. So that's Cruises on pole, Aidenator second, Cryptic in third, Archie with a good result in fourth, Shadow fifth, J. Cole in sixth place, Julian in seventh, Pepe in eighth with a great qualifying from him. He made his debut last week. Entity in ninth and Black Panther in 10th. And the rest of your finishers are for qualifying are Kai Bacini, Rocky, Galbaband, Marky Mark. They're starting on the softs. Manello is starting on the mediums. Ace of Space, 16th. Superior GR 17th. GSR 18th. I didn't see the others. I just missed it, but there we go. But I know Cisco was in last anyway, so that's all I know. But yeah, no rain in sight, Racebug. Looks like to be a dry race.
Yeah, looks like so. Even though we have a few clouds in the distance, they don't look too threatening at the moment. We might have a slightly colder end of the race. Maybe it can get a bit cloudy, and that would actually help the drivers, because one thing they are going to struggle with are the tire temperatures. So the quicker the clouds start covering these 5.5 kilometer circuit, the better for them, because those tires are going to be pushed very, very hard in the laps to come. The tires are going to be used, at least for the top 10, from the qualifying run, and on top of that, the car is going to be filled up with fuel, so the drivers are going to need to be very precise, but very smooth most of all. They cannot afford to get in too heavy of a battle, because that's going to most likely destroy the tires, or at least the temperatures are not going to help the tires make it through the entirety of the stints in the best of conditions. So now we have the formation lap just started, and we can finally take a look at the tires choices from the guys outside the top 10, and look at that, we have Superior GR in the hards, and we have 5 drivers in the mediums, Jess.
Yep, and we have about 1, 2, 3, 4 drivers in the outside the top 10 that have opted to stay on the soft tyres. So I'm guessing they want to get some pace from the start. But ones on the mediums, they're going to have well, I don't know what the strategy is here, but I think ones on the mediums, they can really play the strategy to perfection. If they can't work out their tyres well, they can go on the hards to the end, or they can go on the softs. But they have a choice of what strategy they can go on to, whereas on the softs, they have a little bit of a risk in there, but we'll have to wait and see. But do you know when the strategy, when they pit? Have you got some data on that, Racebug?
No, I actually do not. I've already raced here. But unfortunately, when I raced in here, I got 3 disconnections in the race. I still got 5th though. But I got 3 disconnections in the same race. It wasn't disconnection,
I think I know what you mean.
It was crashes.
I think I know what you mean.
Yeah,
I know which league you mean.
Yeah.
It was in the house, wasn't it?
Sorry?
It was in the Haas, wasn't it? So that was a good result for Haas.
No,
was
it was in another one, a Portuguese
one.
one.
Right, okay, yeah.
But,
We're not mentioning it here.
Yeah, but yeah, that's not. But yeah, I got P5, but the game crashed on me 3 times during the race. Once doing qualifying. Fortunately, I've sorted it out since then, and it never happened again since, but nonetheless, it was indeed a tough race. My strategy got shot because my AI decided to pit, so I'm not sure what the strategy is. Nonetheless, our drivers surely know it, and they are going to get ready for the start of the Grand Prix. You have the Portuguese Cisco bringing up the rear in his 97 numbered Ferrari, going to get on the last spot of the grid. And as you can see, that's a very long way from P1 to the first corner. So getting ourselves with cruise as we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. Lights out, and away we go for the USA Grand Prix. A good start from Endinator there. He's going to get alongside the Red Bull of Cruisix. We also have a good start from Shadow. Ooh, there's contact with the Renault there of Cryptic. And he has to lift the foot off the pedal. Julian says thank you very much. Climbs his way up to P4. Shadow down to P5. Archie also with not a great start. We have a change of the lead. Endinator, a beautiful maneuver around Cruisix to take P1. Cruisix falls down to P2. Cryptic in P3. Julian and Shadow still P4 and P5 as they're still getting feisty. Archie and J. Cole. J. Cole trying to get past the reserve driver of the Mercedes. Not much success in there, as this time around J. Cole getting the best of the Mercedes. Entity is going to try to send it down the inside to take advantage of the situation. He does move up to P7. Black Panther is the prime witness to all of this right in front of him. He does get a better exit out of turn 11. He's going to take the slipstream from Mercedes. Is he going to challenge both of them? It might become a 3-wide moment into turn number 12. The drivers have to surely be on their toes, especially as chaos ensues and Cruisix moves down to P3 at the front chest. What's going on?
Well, Critic almost did ascend into turn 11, but he backed out a bit. But he did it at the end of the straight, which really worked out for him, and that's what got the position. I was on board with the battle, and Junior was gonna spice things up in there as well, and probably go for the triple overtake. But then he realised 3 wide doesn't mix, so that's why he decided to stay in P4. So impressive moves from the top 4. Some great battles from them as well, and you can see Aidenator already pulling away to 1.2 seconds. And Mark's got a 5-second stop go penalty for exceeding track limits. That was a bit harsh. I'm sure that will be sent to the stewards if it was a bit too harsh, but I don't know. But we don't know. But meanwhile, what was it? I think it was Cisco and someone. I think it was I couldn't see who Cisco had contact with, but Cisco was having a troubled start. I think I saw Williams who had a bit of contact there. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah. So Cisco is now back down into the last place.
In the meantime, we have Marky Mark with the beautiful maneuver on the inside of Kaibashimi, even though he gets a bit wide at the top of the hill. Will Kaibashimi be able to give the answer back? Not just yet, at least. By the way, Jess, the contact was Cisco with Superior GR. The Portuguese driver got a penalty. Right. Yeah, he got a penalty for his trouble as well. In the meantime, we have Shadow and Julian. They have been going back and forth for a couple laps now. Shadow, this time around, makes his way through. Up to P4 goes the number 57. Julian making his race back after his absence with a very tidy P5 for the time being. J. Cole right behind him, trying to pick up any pieces that might come his way. And even Archer, despite not getting exactly the best of starts, is trying his best to keep up with the group. And at the front, we still have Endinator pulling away from Cryptic, who's coming from an immense pressure from the Red Bull driver, the German Cruisix, right on his gearbox.
Yeah, but I do believe Cisco's going very slowly. I'm not sure we got a puncher from that incident that he had. He's just really struggling to get traction. And I don't know what's happening to him. His front tyres are looking fine, so it might be his rear right that's struggling. I'm not sure, or I don't know, but his race has gone from bad to worse. But the biggest gainers so far in this race has got to be from a JSR who started pretty much towards the back of the grid and is now up into 11th place. He's gained 7 positions. Galbavan, another big gainer, he's up 4 and he's chasing down Entity for 8th place as well. Just seeing who else has gained quite a bit. Rocky's gained 2 as well, and so is Julian. So we've got quite a few people that have gained a lot. There's some people that have lost a lot as well. Black Panther had a really bad start, but he's gained 1 position back from Corporal Carrot, as Corporal Carrot is now down into P18. But we got a battle for the lead, Raceberg, coming up very soon, as I think Prix is starting to close up to Aidenator and Cryptic. He's challenging Prix.
Yeah, well, that's a bit of a visual glitch, that 9,000th of a second gap, but we do have a battle. Rocky goes on the grass, not exactly sure what happened there, but he's going down through the order like a sack of rocks, and he's down to P16 as he rejoins the track. Not sure if he has damage, but speaking of damage, I was going on board with Ace of Spades, and you could see how frustrating it was to try to get past Kaibashimi, who was going as wide as he could, putting his elbows out as he had to wrestle not only with the Ferrari, but also with the wing damage that he has on that left side. But through that very aero-dependent first sector, Ace of Spades had an absolute mare trying to overtake Kaibashimi without sustaining any damage. He managed to be patient enough to wait for the DRS zone. He's up to P14, but in the process he lost himself plenty of time. He's now 4 seconds behind Marky Mark, as we have a swap of positions between Entity and Gulbavand. The German goes a bit wide, the Slovenian, his couple Carrot is out of the race. Kaibashimi gets a 3-second penalty as well for corner cutting or track extending. Gulbavand getting a bit feisty there, took a look at the inside of Entity, trying to bait him into something. It didn't happen, and Kaibashimi is out of the race. Jess, did you catch that?
No, I didn't, but let's see if I can go on board with Black Panther. I'm sure I'm sure it must have been through the S's, because his car is gone and Black Panther's gone past, so it was. And Galbavan, whoa! Galbavan is having a very good race so far. He's up into P8. He just got past Entity with a sensational move, and Pepe's going to try and go for a similar move as well. He's going to go around the outside. Let's see if he can do it. Yes, he can. Just look at this. Pepe in the racing point is doing very, very well indeed.
Exactly, and this fellow Indian, Maranello Baby, there with a bit of a switchback through this very long section, that very long right-hander. Marky Mark having a bit of a slippiness on the rear tires on the approach to turn number 19. Maranello Baby couldn't follow his fellow Indian driver, and he tried to get past JSR, couldn't quite find the daylight to stick his Alfa Romeo in. Nonetheless, it is a very live battle from P13 all the way up to P8. Archie a bit lonely now that he disconnected with the cars in front, and then we have another group of J. Cole and Julian. Shadow also a bit lonely, as he's already over a second away from Cryptic. Cruisix as Andy Nater. He has allowed Cruisix to close up the gap a little bit, but I'm not sure if we are going to see any overtaking attempts just yet, even though Andy Nater just made a mistake missing the apex, and he gets a 3-second time penalty. I guess that was on the exit, because he completely missed the apex under braking. Maranello Baby finally gets past JSR. Entity gets overtaken by General Pepe, so both Indian drivers are moving quite fast up through the order. Andy Nater is able to get away with it, maintains P1 for the time being.
Yes, very, very good from the McLaren driver to try and defend from Crutis there, but Crutis was almost going to do a send down once again, but Aiden just had that better straight line than the corner speed in order to get traction into the corners, and that's really helped him gain speed on that lap. So that's why he's maintained that lead as well. And if these two keep battling, Cryptic can say thank you very much. I can possibly try and gain not 1 but 2 positions, but I'm guessing he's going to think smartly about this. And whilst I've seen this, Julian has got a penalty. Shadow is in the pits, so he might have got damage somehow, or we might have had a planned pit stop, and he might be doing a 2-stop. Let's find out, as he's the first person to pit. I'm just going to see if he's got a front wing change. No, it is a change of tyres. So could we be the similar position of Mexico? Could we see a 2-stop?
Yeah, I do believe the drivers are going for to stop because these softs do degrade very, very rapidly. J. Cole and Archie getting, oh, Entity getting out of shape in the transition there. Maranello Baby says, thank you very much, moves up to P9. I was on board with the Haas driver. I don't know if Maranello Baby ate the back of his car because I was on board with Entity, but he did have to catch a slide midway through the left-hander, cut a little bit of the corner, and he lost a tremendous amount of time. He's still going to be in the RS range, but that's really set him back. In the meantime, we have swap at the lead. Kruzix overtakes Sandinator with the aid of the RS. Now Julian a bit too far away from Cryptic, J. Cole a bit too far behind as well. Gelbovand is going to try to challenge Archie, not too much success. Marky Mark gets himself into the top 10 by overtaking Entity, as his soft tires are probably starts to going away very fast from under the platform of that Haas. Maranello Baby is putting now immense pressure on General Pepe. Again, the tire difference is coming onto the ends of the Alfa Romeo reserve driver. You can see General Pepe, the amount of understeer he has, the amount of distance that Maranello Baby closed in. Much more comfortable on these very fast, long corners, and he's certainly going to be a threat. He would have an easier time if the cars ahead didn't have the RS available from each other. Gelbovand is certainly going to attack Archie. He's a bit too far away. Will General Pepe try to do something? Maranello Baby does not. Encryptic does a mistake. He's spun round and he's dropping down some places. Will Archie be able to take advantage of that? The speed difference is huge as they come to the section. Not exactly ideal situation for these drivers, as Gelbovand smacking into the back of his fellow teammate, as there was a bit of contact. Cryptic fortunately caught the slide, but now he's plummeting down the order. Maranello Baby trying to find a bit of daylight, not necessarily able to do so, but nonetheless is going to have the DRS coming out of turn 11, and potentially is going to make it past the Norwegian driver as well. Marky Mark though, ooh, that was very close to contact between Marky Mark and Maranello Baby. Entity putting the pressure on the Williams driver, but it is an immense strain from P5, I believe, to P10 or P11, and there's going to be Maranello Baby challenging Cryptic. Cryptic surely hasn't been able to cool down his tires just yet, and those are softs who are degrading very fast as well. He doesn't have the traction to respawn. Maranello Baby moves up to P8, and this is being a very fun battle here in the midfield, Jess.
Yeah, the midfield battles in USA always excite me because there's always a massive DRS train in the section. I mean, it's just amazing to watch, and we're seeing people that we're not expecting to do well are doing very, very well indeed. Now, I've just had a note from the chat from Cisco. His accelerator trigger unfortunately snapped and broke whilst defending for Mesa Space, and therefore he had to retire due to that. So that's why he was going very slowly beforehand. And General Pepe is ghosting on my screen, so yep. I think that allowed Maranello Baby to go past, and he's going to try and get past Gelbovand as well. So he's challenging quite well. So he made a good comeback last week as well. And Cryptic is really dropping down the order. He has to pit again. He's on the soft compounder tyres again. So I'm guessing he's going to probably try and commit to the two-stop once more and possibly go on to the mediums till the end. I'm not entirely sure, but we'll have to wait and see as it continues. But due to those muscles and bustles, Marky Mark is up into P8, and can he get P7 from Gelbovand? He's going to get the outside into turn number 11, and he does it. Those soft tyres are really starting to struggle from the soft drivers, race bug, and it shows because the medium drivers are running very well.
Yeah, exactly. In the meantime, J. Cole, I believe, just got past Julian. Archie and Maranello Baby still in a bit of a peace treaty for the moment. Maybe a collaboration to try to pull away from their rivals, as Marky Mark made his way up to P7. Gelbovand is going to, surely, if he doesn't pit soon, is going to come under pressure from JSR, who's 1.5 seconds away, but that gap, as we've seen, can drastically change, especially as the tires start to get worn out. General Pepe, unfortunately for him, after doing so well to recover how many positions he got, that was plenty of them, and unfortunately all that work goes down the drain. He finally joins the lobby again, and Maranello Pepe overtakes Archie as he enters the pits. Julian and J. Cole are also in the pits at the moment, going to try to figure out as they put up mediums. And the Alfa Romeo does not get troubled by one of his rivals, but let's see, J. Cole loses out on Julian. Julian gets the position back from the McLaren driver, both of them on mediums. Archie goes for hards as he's trying to take those from lap 9 all the way to the end of the race. Here he joins the track behind Cryptic in P15, and J. Cole and Julian just 1.5 seconds from Rocky, who's on the mediums in P10.
Yes, I am starting to notice that Archie is going for the alternate strategy. I don't think the hards could last. I know they will last if you go start on the mediums, but going on from soft to hards is a bit of a gamble. But I know Archie, if he wants to do a gamble, he can do it. So I really hope that this gamble pays off for him, you know, because that would really cement him as a very good strategist in this league. So good luck to him, and fingers crossed, touch wood, that he makes his way to the end and he could possibly gain some good points out of it as well. Meanwhile, Cryptic is making up for lost time. He is now up into P13. He just got past Ace of Spades on those fresher soft tyres. So Ace of Spades surely will have to go to the pits anytime soon. And Cryptic is going into the pits. Aidenator stays out, however. So Aidenator is going to try on the overcuts on the McLaren driver to see if he can get ahead. It is going to be very, very tight. We'll have to find out, as Prutitz really needs to get a best in lap he can, out lap he can, and he did get held up in the pits for a little bit there, so that might have costed a bit more time, or it might have been just a spectator glitch, I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, Aidenator will be one of the last of the soft runners to pit out of the top 10.
Yeah, exactly. In the meantime, I was on board with J. Cole, and you can see the urgency on Julian. He knows how important it is to get Rocky between him and J. Cole, especially now J. Cole can't quite overtake, and he has to deal with all the dirty air coming from the Red Bull, and also from Julian's car himself. As you can see how much Rocky is struggling to be precise through that section, and he took a compromised lap for at least 3 corners of that section there, loses the rear coming up to the top of the hill. Rocky gets, J. Cole gets a better exit. Rocky just does not have the tools to answer that, and has to sit back in P9 for the time being. Did J. Cole lose the rights to DRS on Julian though? Yes, he did. That's exactly what the reserve driver of the Racing Point wanted, Jess.
Yep, Julian doing very well indeed on his first race back, and meanwhile, Crutis is going to try and get past Jake in the Williams. We're gonna see if he can do it, but he was trying to go for that almighty send. He's going to try again. Look at this. He's going to go and try onto the left-hand side of the track. Can he try to attack for his dear life? Jake on the defensive though. Jake retains P5 for now in the Williams car, but my oh my, these two battling around that section of the track. I couldn't breathe then. That was amazing driving from the pair of them, as we've got Aidenator in the pits.
Yeah, exactly.
So
oh, sorry, you lagged. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you lagged. I thought you stopped talking, but I was going to see, because Aidenator, it could have actually been a very advantageous move to not pit as early as he did, or as others did, because of all the battles between all the rivals in the top 5. Nonetheless, he did lose too much performance from his tires, still ends up being the last out of the drivers that were in the top 5, I believe. He comes out ahead of Rocky, but J. Cole, Julian, and Shadow and Kruzix are all in front of him. So I believe effectively Aidenator went from P1 to P5. Shadow is looking like he wants to go for the 2-stop though, but yeah, Aidenator tried to take use of the traffic to nullify how much time he would lose per lap. Didn't quite work out. He does have the freshest tires out of the entire field.
So you just have another chance to get past, and don't forget he's got his teammate for company as well, so maybe his teammate would come into play here. Will we see a little bit of team orders? We have seen a bit of a team working in the past, and but it looks like they're not working playing the team game at the moment, as J. Cole's really finding some time to see if he can get past Julian in the Racing Point. Julian knows where J. Cole might going, so he's defending for his life at the moment, which is good. Obviously, they've been driving together for quite a long time in this league and also in other leagues as well, so they know what's best to put the car in. And Julian's got a bit wide. That's probably gained a bit of time to J. Cole into that final corner then. So we're going to see J. Cole is going to get the DRS. Yes, he is. I think his teammates could get DRS as well, but meanwhile, let's watch the battle into turn 1 between J. Cole and Julian. This time, J. Cole easily gets past, or a bit of contact there from Julian, but yeah, I think due to that mistake from Julian, that really helped J. Cole there get up into P6 on track, Raceberg.
Yeah, exactly. In the meantime, Ace of Spades on his hearts is closing in on Black Panther. So that's interesting that he on the hards is lapping faster at the moment than the Alfa Romeo on the mediums. He's getting awfully close to that rear diffuser as he opens the RS, sends it down the inside of turn 1, is going to make it stick, and yes he does, not without a fight from the Belgium driver though, gets superior traction coming out of turn 1, and he retakes that P15, so very fun battle between these two. Oh, as Ace of Spades overdoes it, the rubber is hard and not as much traction is provided. Superior GR unable to get past, unable to take advantage of the situation, has to sit back in P17 for the time being. In the meantime, looking up at the midfield once again, J. Cole managed to keep himself ahead of Julian, but now look at this, Sandinator has caught the both of them. I tried to have a cheeky look down the inside of Julian, didn't quite work out. Cryptic on his 4th lap on those softs might be joining that group very rapidly if they don't get their pace sorted out. Julian looks like he's struggling, especially in the sector, as J. Cole already opened up a sizable gap. It's still going to be DRS available for Julian, for the Dutch, but for the time being, Andinator is going to have to stay put in P8, and Cryptic didn't get DRS, but I do believe that won't be the case for much longer.
Yeah, he's about a second behind Aidinator, so he's about a 10th, I think, to getting DRS. So if he gets it in time towards turn 11 and 12, he should be fine, and he can really start to catch up to these guys. He's one of those people who won't let the bad thing that happened at the beginning of the race throw him. I mean, he's continuing, he's keeping going, and he wants to make sure he's still in his race and still in his fight. And he just lost a bit of time there, though, so I don't think he's going to gain DRS on this next straight unless he has a miracle. No, he is not, so he's going to wait another set to do so, which is a shame, but hey ho. But let's see what can Aidinator see if he can get past Julian into turn 12. Oh, what a send. Aidinator's going to try the contact. There's contact from the McLaren driver and Julian, so that means Aidinator has dropped down into P9, and Rocky could take advantage of this very soon, and he's gaining on them. That was almost, that didn't work out too well for the McLaren driver. What a shame.
Yeah, looks like he locked up the rear tires there, tried to catch it, but then the car slid too much to the right of the track, and Julian was there. I'm also a bit sure that Julian just planted the throttle NASCAR style and just drove through him for good measure. But yeah, that was not exactly what Andinator was hoping to come from that maneuver. J. Cole gets past JSRU's on his 13th lap on that set of mediums. Archie getting pressurized from Gilbavand, but he's on the hard tires that is going to take to the end of the Grand Prix. He's about 8 seconds behind Rocky, who's going to pit once again. So, ooh, Gilbavand slams into the back of Archie there. Didn't look like he got damage on that front wing. Going to try to get a better look at that. No, he did get damage on the right side. Entity says thank you very much. Proceeds to move up into a P12. In the meantime, looking at the front, Cruisix putting an immense amount of pressure on Marky Mark, as the top two hasn't pitted just yet, and that's exactly what Shadow didn't need, as Shadow is going to not get the DRS. Cruisix will be able to go faster down that straight while not using an aggressive mode on ERS because of the DRS and the slipstream. So in terms of the resource management as well, advantage for Cruisix as he moves up to P2.
Yeah, very good job from Crutis there to really maintain that position that he wants. At the moment, he's in the net lead of this race, which is what he wants, because obviously we've got Marinella and Marky Mark still yet to pit onto a set, probably a set of the hard compounded tyres is what they're most likely to go on. So, or if they try and get the softs to the end, which will probably be a bit of a gamble, but I think it's going to be the hard for them. So Crutis is doing a great job as well. So it'll be Crutis in first and Shadow in a net P2 at the moment. So that means if it stays as it is, he probably can get that podium back. Meanwhile, we've got JSR and Cryptic trying to go for moves and they're trying to swap. We've also got Jake and Marky Mark as well. So Shadow gets past his teammate, and that's what he wants really. He doesn't want to get held up behind his teammate who's on a different strategy. So Marky Mark has let Shadow through, and Shadow is now up into P3 on the circuit. And it's getting quite cloudy around this Kota circuit. It's getting quite overcast. It's not as sunny as it was at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what drivers needed, I'm pretty sure. Because, again, as I mentioned on the beginning of the race, the tire temperatures are a point where the drivers might struggle severely with, as Marky Mark tries to minimize his losses by not pitting yet. Maranello Baby is still yet to be caught in the lead of the Grand Prix, also hasn't pitted yet. But yeah, Marky Mark at least can minimize a bit of his losses by following on the slipstream and DRS of his teammate. I'm pretty sure his teammate isn't necessarily waiting around for the Dane as he tries to catch up to the German in the Red Bull up ahead. But nonetheless, Marky Mark is doing a good job of following through and trying to make sure that he at least stays in contention with Maranello Baby, despite them being about 8 seconds away at the moment. Cryptic also putting a bit of pressure on Julian, even though those softs are starting to come to the point where they are starting to lose some of their efficiency. He's going to pit soon for a new set of softs. Sandinator has come his way back after his spin and is pressurizing JSR into turn 1. At least he's going to be able to have DRS and the slipstream. JSR with a wide approach there. Looked like for a second he was just trying to let Sandinator through. That wasn't the case. Archie has gotten overtaken by Entity into turn 12 on this lap. Now in the beginning of lap 16, there's the answer for the Mercedes. Entity is going to try to go for the switchback. Can he pull it off? No, he does not. Archie gets his way and back to P11 he goes.
Yep, so Archie, he stayed in points contention, which is where he wants to be at the moment, and he's one of those people who's going to try and get those hards to the end, or maybe he sees something that we don't, and maybe go on the hards might be the best option for him. We'll have to wait and see. Pretty much almost everyone has got penalties now, except from a few people. So this is where, at this early stage of the races, can come into fruition. We're going to see Aidenator then. Is he going to try and get past JSR, which he does? And a little bit of a look up from him as he goes past turn 12, but I'm sure he was fine at the moment. Yes, he is. So he stays P8 for now. And as you were saying about Cryptic, he already started on the soft tyres, so he'll have to go onto the mediums or the hard compounded tyres. Otherwise, he'll get disqualified because you have to go on at least 2 different tyre compounds per race. You can't go on soft. It's just not doable. So yeah, we have seen a few occasions where it can come back to bite us. We've got the Haas really trying to go on the attack towards Entity once, towards Archie once again. And we got Cryptic in the pits, Maranello in the pits. Maranello going onto the soft compounded tyres, and he's going to try and stay there for 10 laps, I think it is, which is, I don't know, it might work, it might not work, but, or he might go on the softs again just to go on the fast lap. We'll see. But meanwhile, Archie, he's going to go to the left-hand side onto turn 1. Cryptic might join in this battle as well. We'll have to wait and see. It's going to be 3 wide. Oh, Cryptic might make contact with Entity. I don't know. I'm not sure Entity's got wing damage, but that's really helped Archie a little bit and put less pressure on him.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Entity wasn't counting with the appearance of the Renault there. Unfortunately for him, he was just eternal visioned on the possibility of the switchback so much that he completely ignored the presence of the Dane coming out of the pit. Slammed into his side pod, front wing damage for the Haas. In the meantime, J. Cole gets overtaken by Marky Mark, who hasn't pitted yet. Maranello Baby is going on the soft, he's going to undercut him, so he's going to extend his advantage. Rocky still has to pit soon. You can see how much the tires are falling off as Julian tries to get past the Williams. Marky Mark is trying his best to hold up his rivals as Shadow is just up ahead, not too far up ahead, so J. Cole could still make that gap, but Julian is going to have a harder time, no doubt. You can see the difference in tire efficiency as they go side by side into turn number 19. Let's see who backs out. Will any of them back out? No, they do not. And at the moment, Julian Julian cannot get past Marky Mark just yet, and the Williams gets the arrest as it is raining. I can see the spots of rain coming onto the front wing of Julian as he sends it down the inside. Marky Mark will try to answer. He cannot. Can he put the traction down? His tires are a bit short at the moment, and he cannot. He doesn't have the weapons. Manuel Baby also gets past JSR. Julian moves up to P4 after brilliant effort from Marky Mark to keep Julian away from his teammate. Cryptic also got past Archie in the meantime, made his way up to P10. JSR is really not in the position to contest Maranello Baby. Maybe these drivers who haven't pitted yet are trying to make these medium stretch until the intermediate period, because it is raining at the moment, and we shall see if the Pirelli Cintura to Green are going to be used, Chess.
It's not raining as hard at the moment. I thought it would come down a lot faster, but yeah, massive shout out to the medium runners who have been since the very start. They can make it work, and good job on Marky Mark as well, because I can tell he's playing the team game tonight and helping Shadow out really well, because he's able to stretch that gap to Julian at least in P4. So good job on the Williams pair, which may help further down the line as well. But we'll have to wait and see if the rain comes down hard enough for the intermediate tyres. I'm sure we'll get an indication when we see DRS disabled, but the clouds were dark enough anyway. We are starting to see some dampness on the track, so this is going to get very, very difficult. The ones who haven't pitted yet, they'll have to pit soon. Hards or inters is going to be a difficult decision for them.
Well, Superior GR is an interesting case test, or test case, because he's gone on the intermediates. He was struggling quite a bit to keep the car on the track. He didn't spin or anything, but he was having a bit of trouble. Of course, it's only going to be going upwards for him. Also, General Pepe just rejoined. General Pepe was battling very hard for the second half of the top 10. Unfortunately, he got himself multiple disconnections. He's down to 16th place, out of any possibility of points today. J. Cole, in the meantime, has shown his superiority over Shadow in the past few laps. He's getting the RS, he's going on mode 4 in the ERS, he's getting the slipstream. Will he bridge enough gap to challenge Shadow? Not yet. Too far back. Shadow survives in P2, but that's not the case for Marky Mark, who is challenged by Andy Nater. Andy Nater's getting a bit aggressive since that spin, coming a bit aggressive into that turn number 12, and look at that, despite spinning in a battle with Julian, he has almost caught up to him. 2 seconds separating the McLaren from the racing points. This could get tasty between both of them. Maybe Andy Nater trying to give the favor back. J. Cole still pressurizing Shadow as Cruzix sits comfortably in the lead, extending once again the lead from 5 to 6.3 seconds now, Jess.
I've been watching Superior GR on those intermediates, and he's just not getting a feel at the moment. He just keeps sliding everywhere, and he's just not gaining the pace as he would have liked. So maybe him pitting is a bit too early. You can see he's struggling on the S section quite a lot, and due to the fact that Marky Mark's medium tyres can't hold any longer, he will have to go into the pits. And don't forget, early on in the race, he did have a 5-second penalty stock go, so he has to serve that. And he's on the intermediates as well. Oh, that is an interesting call. So, and he's one of the guys, obviously, ahead of Superior GR. So he probably might be a bad benchmark to see if the Inters is the best tyres. I still think it's too early, personally, but we're seeing people on the medium struggling as well. So it's kind of getting to that stage where it's not good for any tyres. So you just got to make it work, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, we do have Maranello Baby on the softs. It was Maranello Baby, Marky Mark, and JSR who have gone very long. Also, Rocky has gone very long, but Rocky also had the spin earlier on. But it has been a battle of patience at this moment for those medium runners who are going long on their stints, very, very long indeed. And it's just showing that it can be done, the softs to medium one stop, even though you lose a lot of pace to how quickly the tires wear out. But these guys are just praying to whoever they have to pray for the racing gods mostly, for allowing the intermediate tires to become the ones with the best performance, as we have Maranello Baby challenging Andy Nater, using the superiority of his Pirellis at the moment, the softer compound and the fresher tires as well, and makes his way up to P5. So Maranello Baby, he has done himself an immense job, as he got himself from P15 up to P5 over the course of the race. Also JSR, P18 up to P7 for the time being. He hasn't stopped yet. Maranello Baby did run out of patience a little bit earlier and pitted for the softs, but now, especially when the traction is needed, because the track is getting quite slippery, the effectiveness of those soft tires are coming through for the Indian driver Alfa Romeo Reserve. So it's going to be very exciting to see what Maranello Baby can do, especially as we get to Julian, Shadow and J. Cole, who are having a very nice battle for P2, and Maranello Baby could come on top of that.
I'm liking this battle between these three, you know, they've keeping it clean all race, and it's good to see the rivalry come through, you know. Oh, look at this, Julian going to try for the send. Does the risk pay off? No, he doesn't. Luckily, he hasn't made contact on Shadow, thank goodness. So Julian has to settle for P4 for now, but Julian likes taking risks. Unfortunately, it didn't work, but he knew when to stop taking that risk and be forced to stay put. But Maranello Baby is already on top of this at the moment, and we've already seen Marky Mark losing a hell of a lot of time, so maybe the Inters is not the best tire to be on at the moment, but I am seeing Maranello Baby really gaining, so, and I'm not seeing the soft slide as much, Racebug, at the moment, so maybe the softer the tire you are in these type of conditions, the better it is.
Well, with the rain, the track temperature drops quite a bit, so it's going to be a little bit harder for the softs. They might last a little bit longer because of the lower temperatures, but also the working range of the tires might be a tricky spot for Maranello Baby to nail. So it needs to be a bit aggressive to try to offset the rapidly cooling track, as Julian makes a mistake. Maranello Baby beautifully forcing him into a mistake, and it's going to be a traction battle. Maranello Baby loses out, not able to put the soft tires to good use, and now he's going to have the slipstream on Julian. Julian, of course, is much further away from the cars ahead, so the slipstream won't be useful, if at all, and he sends it on the inside, beautifully done, up to P4, and then Nater might just be able to take advantage of that. And Marky Mark is out of the race, unfortunately for him. He went on the intermediates, took the gamble, didn't pay off. Julian trying to go once again on the inside of turn number 15, didn't quite pay off for him, and he has to sit in P5 for the time being. You can see as he's starting to struggle with the cornering speed on his racing point. Got himself a bit wide there. Andy Nater almost smacked into the back of him. Another slide from Julian, as he's really struggling to keep up with Maranello Baby. Andy Nater is going to pounce on him for sure. Mode 4 of DRS. DRS wide open. Took the slipstream. Is side by side with the Dutch, as Shadow is challenged by Maranello Baby. What a move from the Indian. Moves up to P3. Julian still trying to give a fight to Andy Nater. Ultimately, the McLaren takes P5, takes advantage in that one, and Julian is out of the top 5. But what a race from Maranello Baby, starting from the midfield. He didn't pit until about 6 laps ago, and now he's just taking advantage of the tire usage deficit that he has compared to everybody else, and he's really putting the pressure on these more experienced and more well-established drivers in the ILR field.
Maybe the rain has been a saving grace for Maranello Baby, because it looks like he's driving on a dry track. He's doing absolutely amazing. And look at this. He's going to try and go for a move on J. Cole. Is he going to do the send? Is he going to send it? Yes, he is. But J. Cole is going to go back at him. These conditions are very, very tricky for both of them as they still go side by side. The traction is very difficult towards turn 13, 14 and 15. But this time, Maranello Baby, take a bow. You've done amazing, and that move was sensational. He is now up into second place on those soft compounder tyres. Absolutely brilliant.
Exactly. What an amazing job from the Indian driver. Comes through. This is only his second race of the season. Got P6 at the Autódromo Hermanos Rodriguez. Now putting on a show in front of the American crowd. J. Cole, though, is going to take the slipstream. Not close enough to challenge Maranello Baby. He's still going to keep it honest for sure. And Nater misses the braking zone, slams into the back of Jake, of Shadow. Julian not close enough to take advantage of that as he squirms a little bit from the rear end, trying to put the traction down. And Shadow, I do believe he was wanting to go for a two-stop strategy, but he had to quickly think on his feet and adapt to the circumstances. He is on the oldest tires out of this group, so that kind of backfired on him, especially with the rain coming through. But look at this, the Mad Lads JSR, he has gone on 23 laps on the set of mediums. He has to pit at some point, but just amazing job from JSR. How has he not gotten a puncture? Even Rocky, the Hungarian driver, has given up and went onto the soft tires, just trying to get the fastest laps he can at the moment. As Nater challenges Shadow into turn 11, loses the rear once again. Julian is going to try to take advantage of that. He's going to take a look. He goes around the outside of the McLaren. He's going to get alongside. No, he does not. Nater recovers quickly enough, but Nater is really struggling with the braking zone into turn 12. It has been at least the fourth lap in which Nater loses the rear by locking up the rear tires on the approach to it.
Yeah, you can see it's getting to a point where the ones who have been on the mediums for a long time are thinking, right, can I really do this? Can I really hold up until the end of the race? These last few laps are probably going to go very slowly for Jake and possibly JSR as well. JSR will need to make a move on, otherwise he'll get disqualified. He has to make a pit stop. He can't go on the mediums to hold this race. He'll have to give up at some point, and he's going again. He's going again. I don't know how he's doing it, but he's probably going to lose so much time to his teammate behind, Archie in P9, who's on the hardest compounded tyres. But I think we've been in a similar situation where, I think, was it Hungary, where it was raining. I know it started rain and they were obviously on the dries, and that was like that for the whole race. This is a similar situation, except the rain came a bit later, so they're facing a similar challenge to what we saw in Hungary, Racebug.
Yeah, exactly. That race was light rain for the entirety of it, but no wet weather compounds were used. As Nater is going to take the slipstream on Shadow. DRS wide open. He gets past the championship winner. Julian is going to send it a bit of a lockup from the Williams. He's going to make it stick. No, it does not. Shadow maintains P5. Tries to keep himself in contention with Nater. He's glued to the rear diffuser of that McLaren, as you can see, as we approach the end of this very tricky third sector. And Shadow maintains P5. Julian has to stay put in P6. He's really not as comfortable in the rain as his rivals are at the moment. But look at that. J. Cole already losing 3 seconds to Maranello Baby. Even Kruzix, who's been demolishingly quick today, is losing time to the Indian driver of the Alfa Romeo as Julian takes another penalty. In the meantime, JSR continues losing time and over fist to Archie, 1.5 seconds. 1.3 is the margin now between both Mercedes, as JSR is being a bit stubborn at this point. He has to pit at some point. Kruzix gets a penalty, and Jess, if Maranello Baby keeps gaining time like this, if Kruzix, depending on penalties, Maranello could be on the cards for a win today.
Had a really troubled race towards the end of Mexico. He finished low, but he forgot about that race and he's concentrating on this race, and he's been doing very well. Maranello, he had a horrible start last time in Mexico. He came back to finish 6th, I believe. This time, he's come all the way into 2nd place so far, and he's just shown why he deserves to be in this league, and he's just performing so well. Meanwhile, Shadow and Julian have swapped positions once again. Julian is up into P5 and Shadow up into P6. This can go on until the end of this race. I can tell you that. If you're just tuned in, fasten your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen. This could be a tasty end. We'll have to find out who wins this race.
Yeah, exactly. You can see in the stop details, JSR hasn't pitted yet. JSR, he has made up 9 positions since the start of the race. I don't know if he knows that he's going to get disqualified if he doesn't pit, but he does need to do it very shortly. Entity is 15 seconds behind. I think he's just not going to pit. I think he doesn't know that he cannot do the entire race without pitting.
JSR, if you're listening, please pit. You've got to. He's got to do it now, please. Oh my God, he's leaving us. Oh, he's gonna get disqualified. He's gonna get disqualified. Oh my. Oh God. I've seen a similar situation. It was in Silverstone. They had to do. It was a mandatory 2-stop, and there was one person that only did 1 stop. They got disqualified, and that was absolutely heartbreaking. Oh, we're gonna see the same thing for JSR. I really hope we don't. Just please listen to us and just pit.
Yeah, someone just send him a message on Steam. Tell him to pay it, because the man has made an incredible effort just for it to go down the drain. Truly heartbreaking stuff, as Shadow has finally gotten passed by Julian, and he just doesn't have the tires, doesn't have the tools to get back at his rivals. He tried to make the 2-stop work, had to adapt because of the rain. He didn't pay out as General Pepe finally puts out and his race. He already had it vastly compromised because of the disconnections, and now finally comes to an end. Superior GR is going to claim P15, I believe, shortly. Ooh, Andy Nater disqualified for receiving multiple penalties. Andy Nater is disqualified from the session. Julian going to come up to P4. Yeah, he's disqualified. And Entity comes into the top 10. JSR up to P8. What a unbelievable mistake from Andy Nater. Just didn't take any chill.
He got a lot of penalties.
Yeah, Andy Nater, who's gotten himself out of the last 7 races, been on the podium 6 times, with 1 DNF at Italy and a win at Japan, and now is out of the podium position.
JSR's pitting.
Yeah, finally.
Thank the Lord. Thank you.
Finally, JSR is pitting.
Sorry about that. I had to interrupt you there, but yeah, he's gonna. I don't think he's gonna lose that much time, but he should have pitted earlier. Not gonna lie, but. Yeah, that gave me and Raceberg a heart attack, and I'm sure it gave you guys in the stream a little bit of a heart attack as well. But Aidenator, what a shame. This has not been the first time on this game I've seen someone get disqualified due to multiple penalties. I think it was the second time this game, I think, since I've seen that. So that is unfortunate, but that's just the way it goes. But I did check penalties. Maranello has I do believe 1 less penalty than Krutis, but I don't think that's going to affect the standings that much, as Maranello is 9 seconds behind. So Krutis comes across the line, he goes and wins the race, and Maranello is going to get his best result of the season. A really outstanding P2, and I think I'm going to give him the driver of the day today. J. Cole, another impressive P3, unless Shadow gets less penalties. Nope. It stays as it is. So J. Cole P3, J P4. Cryptic bumps Julian to the line due to penalties in P5. Julian P6. And we've still got a few more people crossing to the line. And out of all miracles, JSR could still potentially get a point. That's insane.
Yeah, not only a point, but he started in P18, made his way up. He was in the top 5 at some point after everyone pitted, and he did not, and then he just came down through the field. He was hoping to be able to change onto the intermediates, but he just couldn't do it, unfortunately. Still going to claim a point from that. Entity skips Black Panther, and JSR gets him! Black Panther down to P10 on penalties. Gelbovan is going to be the first out of the rest, or best of the rest. Superior GR a lap down already, completed his race. Aces Pace actually overtakes him on the last corner, but Gelbovan on penalties retakes P11. Rocky, unfortunately, after all his trouble, is going to, yeah, he's just very unfortunate race. He didn't get the best of qualifying, but then he spin in the 3rd sector. We didn't catch if it was contact or if he just lit up the rear tires, but nonetheless, not exactly ideal performance from the Hungarian, as he is the last to cross of the line. He gets himself P13.
What a race, Racebug. It's been a race of attrition. I just loved it. And what stood out for me as well as Maranello, Shadow was racing the whole race with wing damage. He went into the pits. He tried to select, yes. to repair his wing damage. It didn't. So he had minor wing damage for the whole race and was able to defend like crazy. So props to Shadow there for really keeping it clean even with wing damage. So he was done well as well. So but I'm sure he wanted higher than where he is today. But Maranello, driver of the day for me. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I'm a bit torn to be honest, because GSR took mediums for 27 laps. I didn't know it was possible. I just didn't know it was possible. But look at that, Maranello baby, P15 to P2, and it just shows what could have been as well for General Pepe. Yes, he qualified in the top 10, but General Pepe was had been caught up by Maranello baby, and they were both climbing positions. So both Indian drivers were doing very well until the disconnection of General Pepe, and it just shows what could have been for the Racing Point driver. But nonetheless, it's Cruisix P1, Maranello baby P2, J. Cole in P3, Shadow P4, Cryptic takes the second straight top 5 finish with Julian in P6 on his comeback, Archie P7, Entity P8, SRP9, Black Panther closes top 10, as we have Gulbo Van Days of Spades, Rocky, Spear, Gia, General Pepe, Marky Mark, Kaiba, Shimi, Corporal Carrot, Sisconic, and Andinator as they wrap up the grid. Andinator in the top 5 for the entirety of the race, and then just get it taken away from him for being too liberal with the track limits. Unfortunately, 0 points for the McLaren driver, and I do believe we do have the championship of the constructors delayed for the next round, because I'm not exactly sure how it goes, but the gap between McLaren and Renault was exactly the amount of points they need to win the championship. So they were tied at best. They would tie on points, but Renault didn't score because both Renault drivers were reserves, and McLaren did gain points, but I'm not sure if there were enough points. So we're going to find out in the next broadcast. I'm going to tell you if the Renault team becomes champion or not. But yeah, last thoughts, Jess, on this race?
Speeches? No speeches. But these drivers never fail to disappoint for me. They always put on the show, and I'm looking forward to seeing what these drivers can do. With 2 more rounds to go, we've got Brazil next week, I believe. I think it is Brazil next week, and I love Brazil. It's one of my favorite tracks on the game, apart from Austria and Bahrain, due to the fact that it produces some great battles, and obviously last year's race in real life was fantastic as well. So I can't wait to see what it delivers for these drivers next week. So should be a lot of fun, and I do believe that's it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is it. As just mentioned, we're going to the Autódromo José Carlos Pache, or Interlagos, coming to Sao Paulo for the second last race of the championship. It's going to be in a week from now. Hope to see you guys then, and have a wonderful day. Good night.